welcome on board Hemang Jani as well, the equity strategist at Motilal Oswal Group. Hemang, hi, good morning. Thank you so much for making time and speaking with ET now. Well, a slew of Q4 updates have come in from the banking and the NBFC sector. Let's begin with HDFC Bank itself. Really, the pace of growth continuing at a very strong momentum for HDFC Bank. Your take?
Yeah, good morning. I think the overall business updates for majority of the banks NBFC have been pretty good. HDFC Bank, both on YOY and a quarter basis, we're seeing very strong growth. Particularly the credit growth is looking quite good. And I think that given the background in the last about 2-3 months,
I think we've got you on a bit of a patchy line. We'll come right back to you and discuss the fundamentals. Hemang, let's get right back to you. Continue your chain of thought. You were talking about HDFC Bank.
So, HDFC Bank, the numbers were pretty strong on a higher base, both YOY and quarter on quarter. We've seen a good, strong growth in the credit, growth, which is quite, interesting. Also, coupled with that, when we look at the names like Mahindra Financials, Poonawala Fin, Federal Bank in the banks, I think these are the names where the overall business update is extremely strong. So we think that now that we are entering into earnings season with this business update and the previews which are out, we think that particularly the banking sector should do well, both PSU and private banks.
PSU as well as private banks are likely to do well when it comes to the earnings season. But since we're talking about earnings season, Hemang, it doesn't look it's going to be a pretty one for the IT sector as a whole. A lot of expectations suggest it's going to be muted when it comes to top line, and all eyes will be on the commentary and the guidance for FY24. Ahead of that, how should one position themselves when it comes to the IT sector? Should they wait for the weakness to be out, or is it a good buying opportunity after the correction?
So overall, we think that IT sector also should do relatively better, compared to a Nifty, primarily because we've seen some stabilization in the financial vertical, which is very high for many of the corporates, and that should give some stability. Also, the fact that the entire sector underperformed big time last year. So, the valuation comfort is pretty much visible, and we think that the large cap companies, maybe Infosys, TCS, HCL Tech, that is where we do not expect any, negative surprises. So I think both valuation comfort is there. The numbers should be by and large okay. Yes, because of the consolidation globally, let's say between Credit Suisse and the UBS, there might be, company specific issues here and there, but by and large, we do not see any major challenge for the IT names.
Okay, so don't see a big challenge for the IT sector as a whole, but today a whole host of other stocks will also be in focus from the NBFC space. You talked about Poonawala Fin, but Hemang, wanted your take regarding Bajaj Finance and HDFC as well in terms of the growth that we have seen. It continues to be strong, but valuation-wise, you see comfort on these names?
So Bajaj Finance, the numbers were pretty much okay, but the larger concern over there is that versus the valuation, how the numbers are stacking up, and there is some, degree of gap there. So we're not, very positive on Bajaj Finance per se. HDFC, I think, because of the way the interest rates have moved up on the housing finance part, we have to really wait and see the impact on the actual disbursement. But overall, because now it's a merged entity and HDFC Bank is doing well, maybe it may not have any major negative repercussions. So overall, we think that, we have to take a stock-specific approach when it comes to NBFCs because the interest rates are high and that would have some bearing on the NIMs for some of the companies.
And what about consumption as a space? Because we have only got numbers from, Marico at the moment, and it doesn't look very strong because it's only a single-digit growth that they're talking about on the top line. And the commentary on inflation is positive, but doesn't look like we're out of the woods.
Yeah, so we have to wait for the updates. More importantly, the quarterly, earnings and the outlook that the managements are giving out, because there has been a concern on the overall growth when it comes to rural side. But, now that we are into earnings season, we will have a slightly more clarity. I think the sector looks a little high in terms of valuations, but if the growth is in line with expectations, people really would want to look at it. So from that perspective, I think we should have positive bias on names like Godrej Consumer, HUL, Dabur. I think these are the names where we have a positive bias, but we would wait for the actual commentary.
Hemang, where is right now in the market do you see value? Because a lot of global brokerages are now saying that India valuations have halved from their peak. They do find merit in terms of a valuation comfort, and they do believe that India is now a buy on dips market. Wanted to understand what's the house call in terms of stocks that one can buy right now.
So Aisha, the broader valuation comfort is there in banking and financial services, particularly I think PSU banks is where there's a higher degree of valuation comfort, and the quarterly preview suggests that the growth is going to be much higher than even the private banks. So that's number one. Number two, private banks again should do pretty well quarter on quarter. Also, should report good growth. The valuation comfort is pretty much there. I think IT is something where there are mixed views, but our sense is that at these valuations, given that these companies are going to deliver relatively good growth, particularly the large cap names, Infosys, HCL Tech, TCS, we definitely have a positive view there. And apart from that, some of the beaten down names, maybe a Reliance Industries where the stock has actually underperformed big time. I think both in terms of their retail, the telecom business, and the O2C where the refining margin part we can see some good stability. So I think these are some of the names where we have a higher conviction and a valuation comfort both.
At the pre-open rates as well flashing on your screens, and a bit of a tempered start at around 17,390 on the frontline index. Hemang, what's the outlook when it comes to Bharat Dynamics? Because the company recorded a turnover that is at about 2,400 odd crore rupees, quite a significant decline. A number of factors being attributed, and it is expected to be recovered though in the current financial year. A cause of worry, or you believe that this will be recovered and it shouldn't be too much of a concern?
So we think that defense names, there is a lot of buzz and people are a little excited about the whole story and the way the government has gone about giving orders to some of these names. It definitely has a feel good. What one must bear in mind, is that on a quarter-on-quarter basis, you would not have that sort of linear kind of a growth that typically the market really would want to have. So because of the nature of the business and the way the government goes about giving orders, even in case of Bharat Electronics, last quarter we had seen that there was a bit of a slowdown. So one has to really look at a slightly bigger picture. And from that perspective, we think that, HAL, Bharat Electronics, Bharat Dynamics, one can have some allocation with a 2 to 3 year kind of perspective. And if you see any dip in between because of, some negative surprise, I think we should use that as a buying opportunity.
Okay,
Hemang, just get in a quick word from you as to what exactly your outlook is when it comes to the defensives. Where within pharmaceuticals or FMCG would you be finding comfort? You did talk about your outlook on the consumption space, but within pharma, where would you cherry pick?
I think having seen a big underperformance in terms of valuations, that sector should do better this year. And what we feel is that because each company has its own dynamics in terms of growth, valuation, comfort, etc., we would be more comfortable with names like Sun Pharma and Dr. Reddy's, because that is where we've seen some stability and major negative surprises in terms of US FDA alerts, etc. So definitely these are the two names which are high conviction ideas within the pharma space for us.
Hemang, always great to chat with you and have you on the show. We let you go on that note.